Hi. Hello, Loomies. How is everybody doing? Happy Luminaire Day because we're together. Okay, I'm checking in right at the beginning to make sure you can hear and see because Spirit has really been messing with some technology over here these days. Hi, everyone. Hi. Happy full moon. That's right, Sam. I am. Happy full moon. Hi, Nanette. Hi, Lori. Hi, Kiara. Hi, Tiffany. Today, we're going to be talking about why do we want to communicate to spirit? My name is Jamie Butler. If you are new to the channel, I'm the everyday medium. Simply, it just means I like taking mediumship skills and bringing them into everyday uses. Like we can use our intuition, our psychic abilities, all of these wonderful, what we might call paranormal or phenomenal activity in our everyday decisions. I like to normalize this content, and hence we have conversations here on this channel mostly every Friday. We do our best. So today, our conversation is about why do we want to communicate to spirit? What is it? And if you have some ideas rushing through your body right now, please, if you're live with me, put your fingers to the keyboard and share a little bit. I see that some of you Luminaires have made it live for the very first time. I really enjoy that. So, as we talk about why we want to communicate to spirit, I want to kind of narrow it down to two paths. I want to look at why this can help us, assist us, and support us in our life, or how it can hinder, block, stop us from living our life. Oh, goodness, as you know, it's a balancing act as a human, right? We have these extremes, these yeses and nos, and we do our best to approach from a very neutral standpoint, or as some spirit friend of mine calls it, on the fence. I call it in the gray. We're not black or white. We're going to be in the gray right here. No extremes. Bringing it into neutral. So let's look at how that is. So why would we want to communicate to spirit? I think a lot from what I've heard over 30 plus years of doing readings, one-on-one group readings with people, connecting them to their spirit team. A lot of what I hear is about it's coming from a sense of fear, a fear of losing them, forever, for real, forever. Their body is no longer with us, but now all of a sudden, I have this concept that I possibly might not ever connect with them again. And so a drive to communicate would be to kind of solidify that something is there. And even that fear of loss of that relationship or that person can transition into the fear of actual death itself. It could be your death, your immortality, or of those that you love. Or it can be about the ending of things, just the anxiety about connecting to how it's possible that something might stop. Sheldon is writing in, oh, my nose is getting tickled by Maitland. Oh, Maitland is a little guide of mine who comes in and sometimes she will tickle the nose. I'll put like stuff on the face where it makes you think like you've walked through spider webs. So we're going to include their aspect of all of this as well. But Sheldon comes in and says, because as we wake, we think they know everything for us and they can help us maneuver through situations. That is another reason to want to communicate to spirits, because we say they have a different perspective. They're going to see something I can't see, or because I cannot touch them or treat them as a 3D being, human like myself, then they must have more power or more knowledge about something that's happening. That is absolutely a reason people want to reach out as well. Logan Marie says, I've gotten so much help from more direct communication with spirit and feel so much more divinely guided and protected than I did when I was less aware of their messages. So that guidance bit, getting the information, and we're going to talk about how that's very helpful and how that can actually hinder you. I know there's two sides to everything. We want to cover all of it. Sam I Am says, I love communicating with spirit when I'm at a crossroads, so guidance is helpful. It is. Guidance, guidance, guidance. It could also be around not wanting to embody grief or sadness or hardship. Simply saying, this is too much for me. I don't want to do it this way. I need something to uplift me. I do not feel strong enough for myself, and I have put power into you. So I want to hand that over to you and help me get rid of this. So it could be a form of healing, or it could be a form of just wanting to get away from something that you are presently working with in your life. I've heard that come up in readings quite a bit. And another aspect that I've heard is that clients or people just want to hear one more thing. That's my loved one. I love them deeply and I miss them. I just want to hear them say one more thing to me. That one bye, or maybe it's them or they passed over suddenly. And so you're looking for that closure. Absolutely. But I do kind of about when I have clients come in and say, well, I want to hear one more thing. And I want to hear them say this again. Or I want to experience their personality one more time. Because to me, a one more time is not really a closure or an ending. It's kind of like when a person is, and I'm not trying to be rude or anything, I'm just trying to explain some experiences I've witnessed. It's kind of like when a person is an empty hole without this other person in my life anymore. So if I could just do something one more time doesn't really land stably inside of the body and just change a perspective of what's going on. It's more of a grasping. If I could just have it one more time, then I would never ask for it again. But then once you get it, you're like, oh, that was so sweet. Oh my God, it's like I could smell, it's like I could feel it. And I want to learn more about why is it one more time? And is it really one more? It's a grasping. So we have listed several kind of ways or reasons why we'd want to communicate to spirit. And already SS is like, I am so curious about how it can cause hindrance. Like, what? We're really going to talk about that. And I like it when you guys are involved. So please keep it coming. Nanette says, to have a connection with my soul family when I don't have compatible people around me, when I want to have, when I want to have honest, fair, etc. connection. Yes, I think that Nanette takes us right into how can spirit communication help us? Just like you said, it can give you community. It's wild. And listen, for all of you who are on that spiritual awake awareness path, I think you know what I'm going to say. It might really resonate with you. If it does, shout out. So here, when you are on a spiritual awareness, simply, I mean, if the word spiritual is getting you, just ditch it. It's about becoming more aware to your sensitivities, how to self-prioritize without knocking anybody else off at their knees and crumbling them so that you feel better. It's self-prioritizing that lifts the entire, energy, or lifts the boat, as they say, lifts everybody in the boat. And then when we have that ability to become more aware of the sensitivities you have, whether it's showing up as intuition, gut instinct, or it's showing up as psychic, like clairvoyance, claircognizance, like a knowing, premonitions, things of that nature, using dreams, just having this overall sensation that you are intertwined with life in a deeper, more broader, amazing way. That, when that begins to happen, and then you look around at your friends and they might not be on the same trajectory as you, all of a sudden it's like, I don't know how to say that to you. I don't know how to describe that to you. It's going to sound really weird and funny and offbeat, and I don't know the words to pick. So you kind of fumble with it and it feels a little awkward. And then some of us just kind of stop trying because it is awkward and we don't like awkward. So we hold it internally. So where's our community for those of us who can't find the words and decide to internalize things? Often you'll find it in your spirit team, in your meditations. I remember I had years in college and after college where I felt I had more friends and more connections in the spirit world than I had in my human world. And I would so look forward to, after the event or after whatever play or performance I was doing, I would go meditate. I would check out. I would go inward nightly, every morning. And it was like, hi, family, hi, friends. And they knew what I was going through. They knew how to speak to me. They knew how to help me find my way and my path. They were my teachers, my gurus. And yes, if you have not found that kind of connection in spirit, it is possible. It's not only about reconnecting to loved ones and friends and animal companions who've transitioned. It's also about finding those teachers in spirit. And it's a, how do I put this? What do I say? It's about finding that teacher who empowers you in a way where you can self-prioritize and be amongst your human tribe. Spirit will not come in and disconnect you from your humanness. They have zero interest in that. It is about feeding you who you are. And it's really beautiful, quite refreshing. So if you are engaging with the spirit that is encouraging you to not speak to someone, to pull away from someone, which it can happen, guys, to hinder relationships, to react aggressively and not from a place of love, then you might be working with an entity that does not have your best interest at heart. This might be, oh, we can go down that hole. Do we want to go down that rabbit hole? This could get you into communicating with such entities that are called demons, earthbound, but not all earthbound spirits are awful. I really don't enjoy putting the labels on them and saying, oh, this one's good and sweet and this one's bad and terrible. Like, I mean, that just takes us right into the extremes, which I said, it's not going to do us any good. Staying neutral about it is best. So I think what I will say about it is that you can come across entities who will direct you to behave in unauthentic ways. And when it feels unauthentic, do not do it and close up the relationship. I know. Oh, I love that you guys are sharing. Sheldon says, I have learned not to use spirit anymore for personal stuff because the info given follows with our beliefs. The answers will change as our belief changes. That's so very true. They're going to speak to you in ways that you will understand. But, Sheldon, they can also speak to you in ways that you have to reach to understand. It's not always within, your box of beliefs. It could be slightly outside of it. But when they give you outrageous things, the most common reaction for people is, oh, no, I'm not doing that. That's nuts. That's crazy. And I'm already crazy. So no, they'll fall into this, like, I got to draw a line somewhere. But if we adapt, like when you're receiving messages from spirit, if we adapt to saying, if I do that, would I stay physically safe? Yes? Okay, I'm still interested. If I do that, is it self-prioritizing me or is it giving my power away? Okay, it is self-prioritizing me. Great. Okay, I'm still in it. Well, it's something very strange and I don't think I really want to do it, but I'm safe and I know I'm still in control. So I will then give myself permission. And that's some ways that we can quickly crawl out of belief systems. Yeah, the ones that we hold that tell us no, 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 we can just kind of step beyond it by looking at certain aspects of your safety. when applying what message it is. So that can be very useful. My progressives today, guys. I got to tilt my glasses so I can see the chat thread. How do you know when you're over 50? Kiara sharing, I started my journey in channeling because I was curious about how I was able to answer questions I had no answer for. Yep, the answers were brilliant and deep, and I knew they weren't from me. So that's another thing that can help us. Point of validation, Kiara. We want to validate. So when we have a direction in life and we're like, is that really the best direction for me? I want to make sure that this is the path, which is kind of funny. I just did a reading for someone and their mother came through and said the cutest saying, and I need to write it down because it was this concept of, am I on the right path? Though my client did not ask that question. The mother just kind of came in and said, you're always on the right path no matter what you do because those feet belong to you. I had to stop and think about it. She goes, yeah, it's not like you're going to unscrew your feet and put them somewhere else and they're on a different path than you and it's the wrong path. Where you are is the right path. And I was like, oh, okay, that was a funny twist to that answer. But we look for validation. Am I okay? Am I making the right decision? And so when we look for that, spirit conversation can be really nice. It's also like from your care providers, from those authority figures in your life that you really respect and that you love, when they come to you and they share like an act of appreciation. And they're like, hey, I noticed when you did this, I felt this way. And it really met my need for, this and that and that. And I really connected to it. And it's not that we need other people to be proud of us or that we need other people to really see us. But for many of us, it's important that we have that kind of community and that kind of connection. And so validation of self comes through others recognizing what we're doing, not so much in a judgment manner, not so much in a critique, or not so much in a compliment, because a compliment is an equal judgment as, as a critique. Hey, Eric has made it to Luma Light. Yay, thank you. I look forward to seeing you in our healings and our meditations, and especially in our book club, especially in that. We're reading the Raw Material, book 1 right now. Raw, R-A, not raw, R-A-W, R-A. It's very intriguing. Okay, sidetrack. So we get community and we get that validation, which is super important. Thank you again for continuing to support each other in the chat thread. Oh, yay. Regina, yes, you are taking mediumship classes. You say they're going well, and you're prizing yourself with your evidence. Regina, this is a lifelong journey of mine and 30 plus years of doing it as a career, and I still tickle myself over evidence and validation. It is so exciting. You think by now it'd be like old hat. I know it's real. I know this. But every time it happens, it's like, wow. Like in our 21 days of detox Reiki we're on day 11 right now, where I meet with a group every day. And the type of healing that's coming through is knocking my socks off. I'm learning all kinds of things almost daily with them. And so I'm excited. Like I want to launch another 21 day of healing. So if that's something you're interested in, just keep an eye out. If you want to keep track of any of the classes or channelings that we offer, I say we because Colleen is a big part of making all of this happen. It wouldn't happen if she wasn't behind the scenes. And you can find all of that over at jamiebutlermedium.com. If you want, you can sign up for the newsletter so you don't have to keep searching the website for when something's coming up. We only send it out once a month. And we keep it nice and tidy and brief so you can scan through and look to see what you're attracted to. But we do have the approaching trance channeling coming up. So if you are wanting to learn trance channeling, that starts July 17th. I know it's in the middle of the summer, but it will wrap up by the end of the year because it's 16 weeks of a study. I think it's worth every class because it just really puts you to the test. It helps you find that evidence and that validation that you're looking for. But in September 3rd, I have that building a new relationship with loved ones. So if you want to connect with someone particular, mother, father, best friend, angel, this is a great series. It's 10 weeks. We meet once a week and we guide our natural ability, our psychic intuitive ability towards that relationship. And then once you learn how to bring that relationship online, then you can duplicate it for others that you want to get in contact with. And so it opens up the world of conversation with your loved one, having a new relationship, which is another thing under my help. Like, why do we want to communicate to spirit? Is because we want to continue the relationship. We don't want it to end. When death occurs, that physical contact goes away, but we still remain with our personality, with our character, with our relationship. And so now you have an opportunity to continue the relationship. But you kind of have to learn the differences a little bit. You know, it's not the same, but the love and the attention is still there. Thank you, Lori and Kiara. Lori says the trance channeling class is worth every bit of time, money, and effort you'll put into it. It does require you to put effort into it. I got homework for you every week. You connect to your classmates. We put you to practice, you know, and in that practice is where you find that path. And the way that I like to teach any of my classes, whether it's perceiving and reading energy, building a new relationship with loved ones, or the approaching trance channeling, like those are the series. I like to teach it in a way where you will learn your own path. I will not teach you, this is how I do it, and this is the only way to do it, because I just don't believe in that. That goes back into those extremes that I said it's not very helpful when we talk about, you know, spirit and subtle light connection. So it's going to be directed towards you, and you have plenty of time and access to ask questions and get responses and, you know, a little bit of hand holding every now and then because that's needed. So we talked about what helps us with spirit communication. You know, it helps us with community, having a community that really understands us because they can read our thoughts and our minds and everything. It helps us with connection, continuing that relationship, and it helps us with validation. It helps us feel less crazy because it's unfortunate that the world that we're operating in, when we're using our 5D abilities, or if you want to label them in dimensional planes, you know, multi-dimensional energies or psychic abilities, they don't really sit well in this 3D world. And it feels a little awkward to bring them up in casual conversation sometimes. And, you know, it's not always welcome to operate in that way. Sometimes it's seen as rude. You know, all of a sudden you realize you're in mid conversation and your energy says, I cannot be here anymore. I got to go. So what do? Do you prioritize that and say, I know we're in the middle of a really good conversation, but I need to go now. My energy says so. It's good to see you, though. I'd like to pick up on this later. How about Friday at 4 if you're available? Great. I'll see you then. Bye. And you leave. Because that feels very rude to stop. So we have to discover these ways of being in this and being human. It's kind of a balance, which takes us to what hinders us. Did you guys think about maybe what part of spirit communication can really hinder us? Because I definitely want to hear about that. Lori says, Jamie, I need you to start those remote viewing classes. I've taken all your other classes, miss seeing you in class. I have big notes on my desk about remote viewing, telekinesis, psychokinesis, like getting into more of the paranormal activity aspect of our abilities. And I also have one on past lives, getting to know or identify who in your orbit was in other lives, future or past, with you. So please keep them coming at us. Keep the topics coming. Regina says, for what's hindering us is fear. D is like, hinder? How can it hinder us? It's just wonderful and beautiful and like, yay, I have this ability. But there might be times in your life where you lean so heavily on communicating to spirit that you forego thinking yourself. And so you lose the lack, or you weaken the lack of trust within yourself and your decision making and your confidence, because you are so focused on what is your team going to say. And so you learned how to build the muscle of saying, here's who I am and I have this ability. I need to remember to ask them. And so you get up and you're like, what should I wear today? Hey, spirit, what should I wear today? And it's really cute and collaborative to begin with. And then it turns into a habit of, I can't move forward till I get a sign from them, or I can't do this until that happens. And if that doesn't happen, I've made the wrong choice. And then you start to leverage your life decisions on how spirit shows up. And you know what spirit will do? They're going back on out of there. They're just going to back it up. They're not interested in being your crutch. I have had people who have signed up for readings, and maybe they have a reading once a month. And it's going well. Then 1 month, they're asking the same questions they asked the month prior. So they give the information again. And then the following month, they're asking the same questions again. And they go, let's stop. Let's stop. You're not moving with us anymore. There's something holding you back. You're asking the same questions because the human might want a different response from spirit to then go, see, that's what they said and that's what I did it. And so if it went wrong, it's their fault, not mine. And so you're misplacing your power and your responsibility and weakening your trust with yourself. So that's one way it can hinder. Pause and shout out to Tiffany V. Tiffany, thank you so much for that energetic financial support. That's very sweet. Is that your lemon backing on out? Spirit is like, I'm not going to answer that again. You asked me once. And as Sheldon was mentioning before, they will respond to you in a way that you can understand them. But guys, there's so much room for misinterpretation. I know. Should we have a moment of silence for that? Miscommunication, mistranslation, misinterpretation. They'll say it one way and you think, oh, I know exactly what they mean. But really, you weren't actively listening. You were holding the answer that you wanted them to say. Please say yes, please say yes. And they said something similar to a yes, but it wasn't a yes, but it was similar. And you took it and you went, it's a yes. Did you hear it, everybody? It's a yes. But everybody around is like, well, it was kind of like a move forward with caution. But you heard move forward. So you took it as yes. And you stopped listening to everything else. So there's a way in your listening skills, your active listening skills, to stay neutral when you are receiving and accepting messages, because you can hinder yourself by all the misses, as Rose is saying. Yep, miss. I miss stuff. That's why I need a few hours of asking and confirming that I understood the right way. Like, you sure this is what you meant? This is what you meant? Right? So it's pretty important that you have very clear communication skills. Right? You think it's just human to human that you need clear communication skills, but it's also human to spirit as well. So if it's something that you're looking at getting into, do check out Compassionate Communication. There are several teachers out there that host it. I myself really enjoy the world of compassionate communication, and I do have a one-day workshop. I usually teach it over 6 weeks, but I heard some mumbling that people just wanted to kind of get into it one day and have the seed get laid into the soil to grow later. So I did do a one-day intensive. It's on July 20th. And so all of these links that I'm talking about, the classes, there below in the description if you want to check those out. But active listening is going to be very important when you're receiving messages. Regina says, I have to tell Spirit to keep it on a beginner's level. I love it. Another thing that can hinder you, let's say if you were in a moment of vulnerability, being very open, which I think is a very strong thing, but you were also quite lost in your life, in your decision making. And this happens to us sometimes. And so you wonder, like, what step am I going to take and how's that going to work? And so you go to your spirit team. And because you yourself don't necessarily have an answer, you listen to theirs, you take the guidance. Let's say you were a very good active listener and you got your response and you're like, well, I don't have anything else, so I'm going to do this. I'm safe, I'm good, it's fine. And you do it, and there's much success that comes from it. And so then the brain goes, holy cow, their answers are right. Oh my God, you got like a validation hit. You're like, this is amazing. I now have a board of directors that I can go to and pitch my ideas and work off of them. Like, this is such an incredible resource. And it is. But sometimes as humans, we'll go overboard. And then we'll say, well, I'm only going to do what you say. I'm a servant to you. I'm loyal to you. I will do what you say. Just tell me what to do. If you just tell me what to do, I will do it. And then we end up kind of surrendering your rights. You know, we get rid of our thoughts. We get rid of what we think might be the best way to, you know, answer seek instead of problem solve what's going on. And we only do what Spirit says. And now we have a life waiting for Spirit to tell us what to do. And so that can really hinder your experience as a human. As a human, you're here as a creator. You create your existence. You create what you see in the world. You create everything that's around you. But it's incredible what we're able to do. Quite powerful, I might say. Can you think of anything else from Spirit that might hinder you? I'm going to pause for a second and have a drink. If you're not drinking today, whatever you want to, whether it's water or tequila, let's do it. That looked like a really big sip, but it comes out really slow. Like I was throwing it back. Okay, did you come up with one? Here's one I'm thinking of, which I was hoping maybe you came across. Oh, Lord. This is where, when one is seeking a relationship, and we sometimes don't know how to vet the person or the relationship quite well. They're fulfilling a need of yours. Let's say you wanted to be in community, you were lonely. You had a presence, you had a feeling. You connected to that feeling and that presence and that entity, and you built a relationship, and it felt good because it filled your need, you know, to be in community and not lonely. And so you say, that has value. I'm taking it, it has value. And now we develop that relationship as something very important. And we, as humans, creators, are naturally wired to be positive, which is kind of cool. We're naturally wired to be in community. We're naturally wired to give love more than hatred. And so we're naturally nurturers. We are taught how to not nurture. We are taught how to be greedy. We are taught these other behaviors. But if left to our own devices, we come out with love, to nurture, to be together. Okay, so when we find that relationship and we're not really vetting it because we found value in it right away, We then let it unfold without ever checking back into it. You know, it's similar to life. You have to go back to your relationships and say, hey, are these serving me? Because if not, I need to end this relationship, or I need to pull back from this relationship and take it from friendship to acquaintance, or acquaintance to nothing. Or if we're assessing a job, checking back in with the job and the details of the job that you do, it's like, it's not really feeding me. It's time for an upgrade. It's time for a change. Right? Change is the only thing constant. So if you want to remain constant in your life, always change. Always. That's a funny word too. Anyways, so we have this idea of weeding the garden, checking back in. Is that serving me? But sometimes we don't do that with spirit because we're like, oh my God, this is so cool. I got a spirit friend. I've got this team of counselors. Obviously, they know more than me. I'm giving them more free range. And then if that is not a healthy relationship, as I said, we might go down this rabbit hole, and here we go. If this entity is not who they say they are, and they have begun to feed off of your sadness, grief, your weakness, your lower vibrations, there are entities out in the world that feed off of low vibrations. That's not necessarily good. It's not necessarily bad. So if you're thinking, oh God, oh no, I kind of want you to, let's rein it in. Let's get a little more neutral. Let's just observe how the system is working, because this happens throughout the animal kingdom. This happens all around Earth. The weaker is consumed by the stronger. There's an attraction. One is always looking for their needs to be met. They might find somebody who is weak and they prey upon them to fit their needs. Is anybody right or wrong? This is just what is occurring. Your compassion level might go, oh, this does not feel right. This doesn't feel good. That's real. But here we have where you have given in to the story being told by the entity, but really the entity might be there because you are in a weakened state of being and they enjoy keeping you there. And so some telltale signs. Thank you, sweet morbid bear. Some telltale signs are when spirit wants to commune in your misery, wants to confirm, right, nobody loves you and you're all alone and you have to do this by yourself. And they didn't like it when you said that. And they'll make you sound like a martyr. They'll make you sound like maybe you are a great teacher to them and that's why they don't like you. They'll fluff your ego up, but not necessarily your heart. But they'll feed an ego to contort you to stay present to them so that they can feed off this twisted lower vibration frequency. Is this common? No, it's not. Does it happen? Yes. So it is something worth talking about. Will most of you come across this in your life? No. But it's kind of one of those things where you might know someone who knows someone who that was their experience. I had a stint in college. What was it? It's my third year in college, where I started having night terrors. Night terrors so much that these are real experiences, people. Night terrors where I would wake up screaming. I would have scratched my face or my body trying to get whatever it was off of me. And so I thought, oh God, I'm just under a lot of stress. And I was with school and, friendships and stuff and relationships. But it changed. So then I was waking up and I was finding scratches on the wall where I couldn't have done it with these nails and I didn't have any drywall under my fingertips. I would have scratches all down my back, which I cannot reach myself. They would be bloody. My sheets would have spots of blood on it. I would wake up restless, scared. Always felt like I was fighting for life when I went to bed. I stopped sleeping because I was terrified of going to bed. And this lasted for 2 months. You say 2 months is like, oh, that's not that bad. Like when you're in it, 2 months of lack of sleep and being chased at night. It is no fun. And so then the appearances started happening when I was awake. So they were activating my psychic vision. And it was, I don't know if you want to say a creature, but it was a very thin, dark entity, knobby knees, knobby wrists, knobby elbows, a very distorted face with round eyes, red in color. And I remember the red eyes from childhood nightmares. And then I thought, oh God, Jamie, you're just making this up, right? Because you were a kid, and I was taught everything that happened when you were a kid is made up. So how do you rationalize that? And it wasn't like I could just go and talk to my boyfriend or go and talk to friends, but friends saw my scratches. Friends saw the damage on the wall. Friends knew that I was distressed and was really trying to help. And I just didn't, I could talk a little bit about it, but it just really never made sense. And so in this entity was feeding off of my fear and feeding off of my hardship that was happening in that year of college, and was getting fed. And I was the energetic prey in a way. So one day I remember hearing a voice, "You are stronger than them." And it was just like, I have no idea how. I'm just in survival mode. I'm fighting. I don't know what else to do. Like, constantly, like, this is where it was like, oh, boundaries are really important. I got to make a boundary, got to make a boundary, got to make it. I spent so much energy making boundaries that were just BS, baloney. And to protect myself when really I needed to have taken my attention and put it towards higher frequency, put it towards an outcome that I wanted, not to protect what outcome was occurring. I was spending my energy blocking what was occurring rather than taking my energy and investing it into an outcome that I wanted. So, yeah. I did. I invested in some holy water. I tried a lot of really wild things. I'm not really a Catholic person. I was raised Baptist, but I studied the Kabbalah. I looked at different religions. I just never really found myself that way. But I went to prayer. I pulled out my Bibles that I have with me. I did all kinds of unique, multi-religious rituals. But what really got me through it was understanding that I have a choice, even when it felt like I didn't have a choice. I felt like I didn't have a choice because it was lack of knowledge that there was choices available. And once I started saying, I am more powerful than you, I no longer give you my energy. Like, I'm done. I was done. It maybe lasted 3 more nights and it was over, and it has never come back. So if we don't address or pay attention to relationships and spirit, the same way we might pay attention to relationships in our day-to-day life, we might, and that is a big might, we might end up with one that is taking from us in ways that don't serve our highest health, wealth, and purpose. Again, will this happen to you in this lifetime? Probably not. That's how, it's just not as frequent. But is it real? Yes. Yes, it's real. And I'm looking back, I'm grateful. I've had some really wild experiences in my life. And I'm grateful for it because I can speak to it now. And I have had other people come to me, not many, but have come to me with these stories, and I can connect to them. I can listen, actively listen, and respond. And then if they are willing to hear, I can share my experience with something similar. So it's nice to have those experiences. So do check in with your spirit relationship and inquire, why are you here for me? What do you get from supporting me? And what do I get for receiving your support? How do I help you in return? And let's look at the quality of those relationships, because that will really help you. Oh, sweetly morbid bear, you got it. Remember, they fear you. You have domain here. Yes. Oh, let me see. Hey, Judy. Judy says, this is happening to my husband now. Thank you for talking about this. Judy, my heart goes out to your husband. He has always been able to see spirits but doesn't want to. He thinks he needs to address this now. I would address this now and change the dialogue from, I have to fight. I mean, because what keeps war and arguments alive is to fight the source. If you fight, they fight. Now we have, opposite. Oh, I'm losing the word. The conflict is there. But if we have somebody who's trying to fight and you rise above it because now you're manifesting the outcome that you desire, there's nothing to come back. And that blocks the frequencies that entity is wanting to feed off of or to take. And it's no longer there. So all my best to your husband. Hey, you're welcome for sharing it. Hopefully I made it sound a little bit more normal and not as whack-a-noodle. Because I tell you, when I talked about it, when it was happening, it certainly sounded like something a sci-fi writer, was trying to create. Oh, Dan says, Alan Watts said, a person trying to end conflict is still in conflict. Oh my God, Dan, that quote from him, that is everything. It's yes. Oh, I hope I remember this quote. A person trying to end conflict is still in conflict. I've been working so patiently with myself and how I'm relating to the wars that are happening on Earth today, and patiently working with loving all sides and staying neutral. And it is a daily discipline for myself, because my left side of my brain just really wants to jump into judgment and rights and who is right and who is wrong and this and that. And, I've been trained so long to take a side, and I really want to be a light source on earth, no matter how big or small, to be centered with it to help smooth the conflict. Judy saying, thank you. This is so helpful. I kind of knew he'd have to embrace his gift in a positive way. Here we go. March on. Come out to the light, husband. Tiffany shares, I had night terrors with spirits all throughout high school. It didn't help that my school was surrounded by cemeteries. So many learning lessons I dealt with on my own, but it helped shape my intuition, she said. Right? It's nice that it happens in a way where we're younger and we don't have some experiences that we would translate what's happening to us as very fearful and wrong. So not to put a positive twist on night terrors, but, I'm happy it's in your past. Dan, it's a subtle path in my experience, taking the path of neutrality. You can't force anything except maybe a headache. So good. Well, guys, I thank you so much for being here. I've thoroughly enjoyed our conversation about why do we want to communicate to spirit. And if you are interested in learning more with your journey, or you're looking for someone to show you different paths and maybe strengthen your own abilities, please check out my website or check out the links below for our Approaching Trance channeling starting in July 17th. Our Building New Relationship with Loved Ones in Spirit starting September 3rd. We're even coming to Compassionate Communication one-day workshop on July 20th. Or checking out some of the channelings we have. We are going to do an online channeling in July and August. And the online virtual channeling is on the 18th of July. I hope you have an incredible rest of your day. And let's all remember, this is not woo-woo. It's true. And we're in it. And this is who we are. Have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone. Take care.